Sicario was
Amazon right
Denis
now.
Villeneuve, right?
Denis Villeneuve. Yes. Very Josh Brolin.
That is a solid movie. And welcome to the Down and Front Podcast, the official podcast of downandfrontpodcast.com. I am your host, Warren, and how's it going, everybody? It's great to see you.
It's mediocre to see you. Now that apparently we're not best friends.
Raising roofs.
We are excited. We are pumped. And we want to say thank you so much for supporting us all year. This episode, what we're going to be talking about is a review from all the films from 2017. We're going to be talking about some of our 3 favorite films, along with some of our least favorite films, our favorite episode of the podcast, some things that we're excited about in 2018, and any other things that's kind of fall in between there. But we really wanted to say, as first and foremost, kind of thank you so much. We've had a crazy year. We've actually released 49 episodes this year, which is absolutely crazy. Seeing as our total amount of episodes we're at is 80. So huge thank you so much. We're looking at some of our numbers right now. We started out with downloads for about maybe 25 total, to the point where now we're already at downloads that's over 250 downloads per episode. That's still actually getting episodes. And looking at some of our top things even from this year, our top 10 episodes, the second episode, the most popular episode we still have is our second episode, which is really funny. So big ups and thank you for that, Guillermo, because his rant about Jurassic World. But we even have
there's a new one coming.
Oh boy, that's going to be great. But we have 4 episodes from this year that have already broken into our top 10 category, and it's awesome that we have The Beauty and the Beast is going to be up there, King Arthur, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Spider-Man being kind of just 4 of them. So we definitely want to say thank you so much for just kind of hanging in there with us. We're almost there. 2017 is not quite over yet, and this is what we want to kind of talk about, because we even have another episode coming, and that's arguably, I think, it's going to be one of the most anticipated episodes to boot. So, super excited, pretty excited about that. Let's go around the horn as we normally do. I'm going to start with my main man, Brilund, and says, Brilund, what you sipping on today? I already know what you've been watching already.
What I'm drinking is Santa blessed me with a nice bottle of whiskey. This is called Almondor from Kentucky. And the unique thing about this, it's a double barrel bourbon blend that's also cast in wine cast. So the whiskey actually gets all the subtle notes from Napa Valley wine, and it adds a nice little fruity flavor to whiskey. It's good.
That sounds phenomenal, especially because we are about to approaching some -degree cold weather temperatures up here in the north. I would definitely recommend kind of sipping on that. So, as always, great to have you on, and I like your glasses. So good to see you.
Oh, thank you.
Over here, I have one of my best friends. The man literally needs no introduction. He looks great. He smells great, and he has the greatest hugs ever. Mocha Mike Moreno, how's it going?
I mean, I don't know about the
Hell
hugs,
yeah. Hug game strong. Hug game strong. So long as it's consensual. How's it going, everybody? As far as what I'm drinking right now, it's cold out. I feel like when the weather gets cold, nothing beats a warm cup or mug of tea, specifically a hot toddy. I got some yellow tea. I don't know what that is. I think it's lemon. The casing was yellow, along with a shot or 2 of Cuban rum in there to spice it up a little bit for the holidays. So that's what's keeping me warm right now.
Nice.
That sounds really good. I'm a fan of black tea, but no lemon tea, a little ginseng, a little green tea. It's all good. So it's all good. It's all tea.
I had a cold last week, and so this is the tail end of my stockpile of Feel Better teas.
You should try, if you ever get a chance to do some David's tea. The cold 911 is absolutely phenomenal. So I know there's probably not a David's tea close to you, but there's one close to me. So
okay. No, I'll come visit you next time I get sick.
Perfect, because you never have. So now I'm going to toss it over to Michael the Shredder himself. Blewitt, how's it going, Blewitt?
Hey, what's happening, guys? Tonight I am drinking a mixture. You'll probably hear the chair move in 2 minutes and get a what's that thing called from Vermont? Magic Hat. But right now I'm drinking a Sierra Nevada Hazy Little Thing IPA, which is honestly pretty solid. I've never had a Sierra Nevada IPA before. I'm digging. Actually, I'm drinking, but digging would be kind of ineffective. You could, because there's snow on the ground. You can dig the snow out. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Great to hear from you as well. Great to see your face.
Oh, it's great to see yours.
Thanks for, of course, kind of hanging out with us and churning out. And definitely big ups to Mike. Mike Blewitt a lot. Really edits the show, and he's been really grinding out and editing a lot with a crazy schedule. So thank you so much for what you do, because we wouldn't be here for you. You're like the backbone to our podcast. So thank you.
Thank you. It's much appreciated.
Yeah. And I think you've also heard a familiar voice. We have missed his face for some time. Senor Guillermo. How have you been, my friend, and what are you sipping on tonight? I see it behind you, so I hope something in that bar behind you.
Oh, yeah. Look at those things. It's good to see you guys. Definitely. It's definitely been a while. We figured out it was since homecoming, so it's like 5-6 months. I am sipping on Cambridge, Massachusetts water. Delicious, delicious water.
That's filtered straight from the Charles River itself.
No, actually, I have my burrito right here.
Oh, nice. There you go. Well, as always, thanks so much for kind of hanging out, definitely kind of coming on. I know that we have a lot of other people. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Derek, the Ryan Dowds of the world, of course. Andrew Abbott for doing the Fear Boners, which is also something new that we came out with this year. We have a new website. We're on Spotify. And it's just awesome, the amount of stuff that we were able to kind of accomplish this year. So we just want to
I love the website.
Oh, thank you. I'm super pumped, especially for where that's going to go. But, more and more feedback, feel free to go in there. Let us know what you think. That's something that we've necessarily made for you, our fans, and put more and more content out there. Being on Instagram, we have live reactions. We have these awesome title cards from Mocha, which is amazing. And Brilund's killing it with the game cast. That's always fun for me to put on my screen while I'm working and just hanging out with him. So we have a lot of stuff out there. I just really want to say thank you to everybody, because it's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
Yay!
I am Warren. I am your host of this evening, and I am drinking our soon-to-be sponsor, Arizona Iced Tea. Arizona Iced Tea. The price is on the can.
What flavor you got there?
I got the lemonade and strawberry.
Ooh, what's the name of that? What's the name of that particular combo?
Golden Bear.
Oh yeah, the Golden Bear.
I like them bears, bro. And it's pretty delicious. I do like it a lot. It's all just practically sugar. It's sugar.
Yeah.
But it's the best sugar a dollar can buy.
It is the best sugar a dollar can buy. And these are actually on sale for $4 for $2. So price is not in the can when it's 50 cents. It's 50 cents, smoke it. Don't hurt yourself.
I feel like they should just stick to the prices on the can.
I mean, unless they took the price off the can.
The price is off the can?
What?
No way. You're kidding me.
Here comes the price jump.
We're dropping you as a future sponsor.
Yeah.
Until you bring back the price on the can.
The price tag on the can. Seriously.
Put the price back on the can.
At least for this flavor, the price is not on the can. I do have a sweet tea for my next episode.
Dude, just to see your face, it's worth it me staying up to see you. When you figure that out.
I'm now doing some research to see if the price is really taken off the can, and so I'm looking at the sweet tea version. Hold, please. No, the price is on the can. The price is.
So we've got a road can. Is what we
got a road can. I don't know where this can came from.
Make sure it doesn't paint the populace.
That might be a forgery. You gotta watch out. You gotta watch out for fake
Arizona
ones.
iced tea. It might be Russian Arizona iced tea.
Maybe.
It's alternative
Iron
iced tea.
version.
Fake iced
So,
tea.
I mean, we're pumped. We're excited. We're always super excited. We're gonna keep this episode to just talk about some of our feelings and a lot of these movies that we have. So what we're gonna do is that I'm gonna toss it over to Brilund. Brilund, from 2017, let's do a nice wrap up. You know, what are some 3 best movies that you saw from this year?
So, my 3 favorite movies of 2017, starting with number 3, is Your Name by Makoto Shinkai. It is an Japanese anime that came out earlier this year in the US that deals with relationships really well. And not only is it incredibly well drawn and animated, but it has a simple story that has one of these amazing twists in it that takes it on to another level of depth and understanding and perspective of what life and relationships are all about. So that's going to be my 3rd favorite. My 2nd favorite is probably the best comic book movie ever made, if not the best comic book movie this year, which is Logan. And Logan is an amazing send-off to one of the best movie versions of a comic book character in Logan, Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's portrayal for the last 20 years or so has been phenomenal, even if the movie's been bad. And they brought everything together at the right place, right time to give them probably the best send-off ever. It kind of makes me kind of sad that we got this finally great take on Logan, and now Disney is buying Fox properties, and we might get some dilution in how creative they're starting to get with these Fox properties. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And my number 1 movie of the year is going to be Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. There's no other movie that made me feel the intensity that I felt watching this movie in the theater. The first 45 minutes of just raw, just anxiety and tense emotion that you felt being with those soldiers on Dunkirk Beach. And then finally seeing the relief and the breaking point of not big soldier ships coming to save them, but their friends, their family, their brothers and fathers on little sailing boats are the ones that save their lives during this story and this harrowing tale. And it just speaks to how amazing of a director Christopher Nolan is, that his technical style probably can't be replicated in a home viewing environment. That you had to see this in the theaters to get the impact he was looking for, and I'll probably won't ever feel like that watching a movie again.
Can I cut in for a second?
Yeah.
I had one of my best friends watch this movie, and he was like, "Oh, it's like a regular war movie." I'm like, did you see it in the theater? No. Okay, then you don't understand what you were missing.
Yeah, and I had a friend do that to me as well, and I was like, "Hey, when that first shot went out, when I was in the movie theater, I pretty much pooped my pants."
Yep.
It's amazing how good the sound just adds so much tension to that movie.
Yeah, it's rare that I find films actually be worth watching in IMAX. A lot of times it's just nice to see something that's really spectacular in IMAX, but there's only been a few moments where I felt like this is something that had to be experienced this way. Dunkirk was definitely one of them.
It's
yeah,
fantastic.
and I could watch Tom Hardy watching his plane be on fire on my computer or on my TV, but seeing it on IMAX, it adds so many levels to it.
Also, Tom Hardy, if you're listening, we still need to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And talk
You
about
gotta
how
have a
you
Tom
should
Hardy
do that
party.
Venom.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Who are we going to
So
get on the
down.
podcast? We forget who we were going to get to call in. Was it Tom Hanks?
I hope
Is Tom Wiseau is what his name was.
Tom Hanks. Let's lure him on here by talking about old-timey typewriters.
Oh yeah, he has that app, right?
He's a collector of antique typewriters. He has a whole showcase in his home.
And then he put out a book.
That's incredible.
So this is my favorite movies of 2017.
So what about your least favorite?
My least favorite. So my least favorite list is not going to be a worst of 2017 list. I think that's too easy. I mean, we all know Jigsaw's a piece of shit. We all know Transformers is a roaring trash fire of human garbage. But these are going to be the three movies I found the most disappointing based on what I thought they were going to do. So number 3, I picked this movie because I think it represents the worst of the movies that had sequelitis this year. Just cramming a bunch of extra stuff in a second movie after the first one did well. That'd be Kingsman, The Golden Circle. It was still pretty much the same movie, but it was kind of watered down and really didn't make any much sense and lost a lot of the charm of the first movie because they just tried to cram a bunch of shit into it. My second movie would be along the lines of just trying to do really hard on making a franchise come to screen, but it really doesn't come together. This is Ghost in the Shell. You have the visual aesthetic to it. You have some great action in it, but none of it feels good, and all of it feels like it's not really earned, and they made a solid action film, and that's it. And it never really elevates to what made something like Ghost in the Shell so important to so many people. We can see in like Blade Runner 2049, you can have these existential moments balanced with great action and still pull out a great movie. And that's what Ghost in the Shell needed, and it didn't have it. And my most disappointing film of 2017 is going to be a juxtaposition of Stephen King's properties. He had a fantastic one with It, and he had a very terrible property come out with Dark Tower. It was something I was very excited about. I mean, I've always been excited to like venture into the books. And it's not only that they made a bad Dark Tower movie, it's that it just was absolute garbage what they did with it. You have this idea of the gunslinger who sounds like an amazing character, and I'm sure Idris Elba brought what he could to the role, but then everything else around him is just terrible. The kid is terrible that they actually have him team up with. Matthew McConaughey is terrible as the Man in Black. The whole aesthetic of the Midworld and the Dark Tower, they don't really give it enough time to actually help build that world for you to get interested in. This is supposed to be what connects all of Stephen King's properties together, is this unique multiverse area, and they really don't explore that. It becomes more of a revenge movie that Idris Elba has to kill the Man in Black for some reason. That's it. And it's bad. It's terrible. And it's the worst movie of 2017. Most disappointed movie of 2017. Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Brian. I kind of appreciate it. And Mocha, what about you? Some the biggest wins and biggest losses of 2017.
All right, let's kick this off with biggest wins. Now, this is of the films that I saw in 2017. I didn't get to see every movie I wanted to see. But of the ones that I did see, number 3 for me is actually going to be M. Night Shyamalan's Split. Now, I feel like this film was super underrated and kind of flew below the radar, and for good reason. M. Night Shyamalan has had a long track record of disappointing his fans in the theater ever since he blew his load on The Sixth Sense. But I felt like this was a really, really big return to form for him. I wanted this movie to be good, and he delivered. It was a compelling story with really interesting characters, and Henry McAvoy completely blew me away with his acting skill. I did not know that he was so capable of nuanced performances, and so many different ones in one film. Being able to really bring out all different types of personalities and different types of gender on screen with such ease is really, really, really can't be overstated enough. So I think this was Henry wasn't. It was a major sleeper hit in my opinion of this year, and unfortunately so. But I'm looking forward. I'm really looking forward to the next one.
Mocha, I can agree with you. I think you were referring to his brother, but James McAvoy is the
Yeah.
I was.
I was wondering, do you call him Henry because you're more familiar with him than most people?
That's just one of his other personalities. It's all right.
All right. Dub in James McAvoy for me. Yeah. Save me the
You're just gonna hear my voice, just James.
Hummus.
Hummus.
McAvoy. Okay, well, back to it. For my number 2 spot, top of 2017, it's gonna go to Blade Runner 2049. This movie, man, was just freaking gorgeous, and there were a lot of really pretty movies that came out this year, but goddamn was this movie special. Not only was it a beautiful movie, but the fact that it did a good job of moving the franchise forward despite there being a several decades-long gap between the 2 installments. There was a lot of room in this film for it to go terribly, terribly wrong, and it really exceeded my expectations. So, got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, this is about to be on my top 3, but because, I mean, it's a sequel nobody wanted or even expected or anticipated having. You didn't have a huge fanfare or anything, but they made a sequel that works and probably makes the first movie better than what it was, and builds a universe out of this, which is amazing.
And I didn't really like the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, because I mean, since we're talking about the second one making the first one better, like I still didn't like the first one. It was too slow, and apparently I'm not watching the correct version of it.
I mean, did you see the director's cut?
There's like 19
I
versions.
have no idea. I saw whatever Ryan gave me.
Ryan Dowd probably gave you like the original.
Ryan, yeah, he probably did.
He could have given you the director's cut, knowing him.
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I would think he would give you the director's cut.
I don't know.
Either way, though, like I don't blame people when they have a hard time swallowing the first Blade Runner movie because it's not a typical like broadly palatable sci-fi movie that you get most of the time. It's
but
very
this one was
moody
easier to watch.
Definitely.
Like the second one, the pacing was way better.
It was also much more intense when the action did happen. It was way more intense.
It's going to be much easier to watch because it goes off of an original movie, and they know. I mean, they have an outline to kind of build off of when the original Blade Runner, the outline was the book. So it's much different, at least what people want to watch, I think. So it's going to be easier, but it's also a sequel, right? So they also can get the sequelitis as we talked about.
Yeah. Overall, though, at least for its visual impact, I think it's worthwhile mention for my personal list. But on the number 1 slot, and this may come as no surprise, but for me it is Logan. Brilund already went ahead and said a lot about this movie. It definitely gets my number 1 spot just because for someone who's been a fan of comic books since he was a little kid, to see a movie come out that can so widely reach a mainstream audience and generate wide appeal while still being so focused on the characters and what made them special in the comics and really drawing from that. It was just impressive and unprecedented. I didn't think it was something that I could expect out of any of my superhero movies that have come out. So it was awesome getting a chance to see them do a really good job and give a great send-off to an actor who has shepherded his character for 17 years by the end of it.
That's just crazy that it's been 17 years.
It really is, and Hugh Jackman needs to get the props for that.
Dude gets hotter and hotter every year.
He does.
For sure. He's like Mike Blewitt. It's crazy.
Oh, it's
Hugh Jackman is the the living personification of global warming. He gets hotter and hotter, whether or not you're not.
Plus, finding that 10-year-old girl to play Laura was
that was really good.
Daphne Keane, huge shout out to her. She's the best female actress of the year. Those are definitely my top 3 of 2017. As for the bottom 3, I'm gonna try my best not to fly into rage with the mention of any of these movies. But number 3, worst movie of the year for me was Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. That movie was trash. It was so bad. Yeah, I'm not.
But that's on you. Why you watch that movie?
Well, because I was the only other person who was willing to review it.
Mike.
Because, I mean, at this point, there are how many movies of those? 6?
That's the fifth one, I think.
5.
Yeah, 5.
6.
Oh, god damn it.
Like
And only the first one was good.
So, moving on to my number 2 least favorite movie of 2017. And this is going to be a divisive one. I'm sure there are some people, maybe in the room, definitely at home, who might not agree with me. But my number 2 least favorite movie was Mother by Darren Aronofsky. This movie, man, like, at the end of the day, it was just, like, 2 hours of Darren Aronofsky jerking off in front of the mirror. It was really about him, I feel like. And while it had a lot of, like, cool aspects to it and some good stuff, overall, it just felt, like, I don't know. It just felt like there wasn't really a good sense of magic in this movie. I don't know. It's hard to put into words without like talking about all the individual things about it that I disliked. But yeah, this was one of the more divisive movies of the year, and I fall on the negative side of that scale.
What do you have against Javier Bardem?
Nothing.
Yes.
He's the best.
Thank you for calling that out.
Javier Bardem is the best thing about every movie he's in, hands down.
That's true.
Yeah, even if it's 2 of the worst movies of the year.
Well, he was awesome. I thought he was great in Pirates of the Caribbean as Captain Saladar. Oh, man. Yeah, my number 1 least favorite movie is just a supercut of Javier Bardem's lifetime achievements.
He was good in No Country for Old Men. And a lot of other movies. There you go.
Ugh, it was a horrible movie. I didn't like it at all.
My actual number 1 least favorite movie of this year, and I'm fortunate because I tend to go out of my way to avoid movies I know that are going to be bad. That's why I had the great fortune of skipping The Dark Tower and Transformers. But this one was actually my idea, so I wasn't able to skip out on this one. And that is Jigsaw. Absolutely the worst movie I saw this year. We had to do it because there really weren't that many options for Halloween movies when it came time for the Halloween Spectacular. But man, it wasn't good. This was not good. The Saw franchise needs to die, and something better needs to take its place. I think we all deserve that.
So is that one a continuation of the series, or is it a prequel? Is it
Spoilers. That's a spoiler answer, Guillermo.
Oh, I'm never gonna watch that movie.
I think Warren's more concerned about the rest of the world listening to this podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think
That was the first Jigsaw movie I saw, and I was like, this is just a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, you really should go see the first one. First one's really good.
No,
The
no.
second
He
one was
said
pretty
this
good.
was the first. Not the first was bad.
No, I'm saying he should
Oh.
see the first one because the first one's really good. There's a
Oh, for
reason.
sure.
There's
Like
a
Saw.
reason.
like the original Saw movie.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
pretty good.
one was pretty groundbreaking, and then 2 was actually a good continuation or like outgrowth of the mythology. But after 2, like 2 was okay, and then everything else after 2 was just bad.
Okay.
Nope. Everything after 1 is bad.
2 wasn't too bad.
Number 8, I believe it was, is my number 1 least favorite movie of this year.
Wait, those are 8 movies?
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Jigsaw was Saw
I think
8.
7. I think 7 or 8.
They pumped
Yeah.
out. They pumped
definitely
out a
wasn't-
Jigsaw
I make
movie.
them for $10 and they make $100 back.
Yeah.
Wow.
They pumped
Yeah.
out a new one of those every year for like 7 years in a row, which is unbelievable.
And then they took like a
crazy.
5-year break, right?
Yeah, it was a long time.
And then they finally came back to all of the adoring Saw franchise fans who are clamoring for another movie and said, "Here, take this." It's trash.
Terrible. How terrible.
But yeah, those are
things-
my top and bottom of my tops and bottoms of 2017.
We all love the tops and bottoms. Blewitt, give me your tops and bottoms of 2017.
My tops and bottoms. First of all, Warren Jackson. Ambiguously both tops and bottoms.
Especially the bottom.
He's more
Thanks, man.
sideways.
So for me, my third favorite movie of this year, Get Out. I thought that was the perfect blend between comedy and horror, where you're kind of uncomfortable the whole time, which I think a good comedy should be like. You should feel uncomfortable listening to good comedy. And I can't wait to see ambiguously either Key or Peele. I kind of forget which one did the Get Out. Their next steps.
Jordan Peele.
Yeah, Jordan Peele, because like they clearly have a very, very good understanding on how the whole movie making business works. Keanu was also great, but that was a couple years ago. My second favorite comes as no surprise because I named this as my most anticipated film from last year. The last time we did this wrap up is Thor Ragnarok. To me, it wasn't perfect in any imagine, but like it was a big dumb blonde dude hitting things with a hammer for 2 hours, and for me, I'm into that. I'm very much okay. There was a big green dude who also hit things for about 45 minutes, and I liked that. And there was a chick that swung a sword around for about 15 minutes. Again, very much okay with that. The music was amazing, and the visuals really brought something new to the Marvel Universe. For me, the best movie that I think I saw, and the movie that this is kind of how I answered this question, the movie that I'll probably revisit the most in the future is definitely The Disaster Artist. I freaking love The Room. Like, I don't know if I made this clear enough in our Room the Disaster Artist podcast, but The Room is a movie that I've seen arguably second to only Cool Runnings, which I just watched again for the 24th time in a row.
On VHS?
I have it. I mean, I have it on VHS, but we watched it on Netflix. So, like, arguably I've seen this movie the second most times only to that, and to see a film done with some of my favorite comedians in a very honest, truthful way that brought out the weirdness and also just like the honesty behind this film was amazing. Like, out of all those, like, Logan's hard to sit through. Logan's like a real tough one to just put on and just like watch because of like how deep it is. What's it called? What was the other big one? Like Spider-Man, that was cool, but again, Dunkirk. Again, I'm not gonna watch Dunkirk on like a Saturday afternoon. But Disaster Artist, I could probably put on any Saturday afternoon and watch any 30-minute chunk of that and have myself a grand old time. And so I think one last thing. I think Guillermo brought this up in pre-production that we like potential like superlatives, if you will. I will say this: I had an absolute blast during Wonder Woman, and I don't think it is on the same level as any of the movies that I just watched or just named. Excuse me, but I would throw that on a Saturday afternoon too. Like, that was a sweet movie, and I really hope that Patty Jenkins gets a lot more opportunities, and Gal Gadot and the rest of that cast gets a lot more opportunities. Because they royally screwed it up with Justice League, and I really want to see. I want to see where that universe develops, because to me that's the most interesting thing about DC. As far as my biggest misses, I'm gonna go against Brilund and just pick the easy ones, because that's what I saw. To me, my third most least favorite was Mother. Mike said pretty much what I feel on it. It was stupid as hell. And that's it. Going down even more the stupid train, we have Transformers. That movie was just garbage. Straight, just hot trash. And I will say this, the most worst movie of this year was The Dark Tower. Just because, at least Transformers, we all looked at each other before deciding on that was the movie of the week. And we're like, this movie's gonna suck. But it's also going to make close to $1 billion, so we should probably review it just because people are going to see this movie. It was honestly a business decision to do it. And no one was happy about that. I will say this, that I think a lot of people were looking forward to Dark Tower and saying like, hey, I'm like really interested to see how this goes. And that movie just sucked. Like, the Transformers was a worse movie than Dark Tower, but Dark Tower, when you think about, like, Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey are, like, the pro and antagonist of a movie. If you put those actors in most movies, that movie is going to be very watchable. And this movie wasn't. It was garbage from top to bottom. Oh, I hated that movie.
Fun fact about that, Blewitt, you guys made the correct business decision in terms of reviewing something that you knew would make a lot of money. Transformers The Last Night wound up raking in about $605 million worldwide.
Crazy.
As opposed to the $111 million worldwide that Dark Tower brought in.
I'm sure I'll see the Bumblebee movie next year. So,
Yep.
So was it Dark Tower wasn't executed correctly, or was it just like the original book wasn't interesting enough to make a movie out of it? You know?
No, the original
No,
book is awesome, but it wasn't based on the book.
Yeah.
So their whole
It was like a reboot.
instead of making a movie based on like the first book or something, it's like, let's make the movie book 9 that continues this story after this whole 8-episode series is finished.
Okay.
It was
So it
really
didn't really make that much sense.
It was stupid from conception through execution. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a damn shame, because Idris Elba deserves better.
Yep.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes, he does. I'm actually going to... so I want to go next here, Mike, because we have the same exact shitty movies, and I'm going to start there. Switch up the order just a little bit, because I thought number 3, Dark Tower, we've already talked about that in there. Number 2, Transformers. Why? Please stop making these movies. But at the same time, I'm probably still going to go to the theater, because, but number 1 was Mother, and just like Mocha said, we watched that movie together, and I remember we got out of the movie theater, I think we walked about like maybe 30 minutes or so to get somewhere, and couldn't find a single word to say one thing we liked about that movie. And it was very difficult. After about a couple of days, then we were like, oh, this kind of happened. So that was shitty movies all around. So,
There is one word. It's Javier.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or trash, but who knows? Who knows?
Yo, one thing I'd say, I'm actually glad, I didn't know this, but so Transformers only made $600 million?
605.
Because the one before it, I thought made 1.1 billion.
Oh, God.
So, like, it's losing traction. Like, they might kill it eventually.
Half a bill is still nothing to scoff at.
It's nothing to scoff at, but it's almost like a 50% return from the previous year. So that's not good.
And I also wonder how much of that is domestic. I know that we can kind of break that down, because I know that domestic is not very large.
No, it's all based in China.
220, 230.
So the domestic for the last night is 130 million.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, they are literally making these movies for China. That's it.
China.
Meanwhile, Transformers: Age of Extinction made 245 million gross and 1.1 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right, Blewitt. That's almost like a 50% loss in worldwide revenue.
Yeah, they're gonna.
So Jackie Chan replaces Mark Wahlberg.
Nice.
Jackie Chan replaces Bumblebee.
Instead of a huge robot, it's just an Asian dude.
Jackie Chan in disguise. It's for revenge.
Dude, if Mark Wahlberg tries to climb into Jackie Chan, I would watch that movie. It'd be 4.5 minutes long, but yep.
So, talking about my favorites, so my top 3 movies of 2017. Number 3 is going to go to Lady Bird. I saw that movie during the week of Star Wars, and it was completely empty theater, and it was awesome. I'm surprised a lot of people aren't necessarily talking about this movie. Really talks about just relationships and expanding, how people kind of grow, and kind of takes you back to a time in which when you were about to graduate high school, some of the choices you made. So I think that was a very powerful movie. I really wish a lot more people to see that. Number 2 is going to be Coco. Man, this movie was gorgeous and beautiful, and just literally every part of this movie was phenomenal, especially kind of putting in music into this actual realm. And I love animated movies, so that definitely has to be up top of there. Then my number 1 movie has to be Get Out. That movie, amazing fine line between kind of comedy and horror, much like Blewitt was talking about. And especially a first-time director just blowing it out of the water to the point where people are like, I'm not even sure how to even gauge this movie. It's so good. I really wish more and more people would see it, like even before the hype. I wish we could time travel back so everybody goes sees that movie. Although it breaks a bunch of other records, I know he's going to win some stuff too. But just as a movie, like by itself, I can definitely sit down and watch that movie a couple times, because although I may know what's going to happen, there's still going to be some small things I'll pick up on. So those are my top and bottom movies.
Do you know if he had anything to do with directing the show Key and Peele?
I'm pretty sure I think it was just
Who,
him
Jordan
and-
Peele?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that. They directed and produced that show as well.
Dude,
That was-
because that show had a couple of horror skits that were fucking phenomenal.
Oh yeah? Were they legitimately creepy?
Dude, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially the one where it's the frat brothers and they have the ghost.
That's good.
It was beautifully shot. It was amazing.
I love that show. I mean, check that show out on Hulu. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, Guillermo. How about your
Yes,
boy?
yes.
Tell me about some of your best and worst movies of 2017.
Okay. So, tops. Super easy. John Wick 2, Logan.
Ooh.
But, to be fair, those are easy because those are just satisfying a emptiness that I had, and I just want them. Because Logan is just so good, and John Wick, I've seen that movie 100 times. It's so good. But the actual top 3, Blade Runner, number 3. I think Blade Runner trends, even if you don't like the Blade Runner, the first one, which I didn't, I went to see it because I just wanted to see that universe again. And I think Blade Runner almost transcends the form, and it's almost like you're watching a poetry or it's like I don't know, like a painting. I want most of those shots in poster form and just see them in poster form. That movie is so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Denis Villeneuve and Roger Deakins,
Oh my
they're
God,
no
it's
slouches.
so
They
good.
can make shit look beautiful.
It's insane. So that movie made me come out of that theater I watched something special. Second one, Dunkirk, pretty much for the same thing. It's not perfect. There's not a lot of dialogue. It's very heavy to watch. It's you don't know who's the main character. You don't know who you're supposed to like. You don't know what's going on. But just the experience of that movie, it's almost like it transcends the normal war movie, the normal just going to the movies and see that movie. I don't know how to explain it. You have to see it in the theaters. It's just there's no other way.
Yeah.
And my first movie, and this is gonna come out as a surprise. It is Last Jedi.
Yes, that
It
is
is
very
that-
surprising.
For the guy that shot on Force Awakens so
Yeah.
much.
And
Brilund, don't
makes me
mention
very
that.
happy.
I love this movie because it literally takes all the fanboys and it shits on them and it says, you know what, fuck you. I'm making my Star Wars that I want to say and I want to tell, and fuck you guys. And I absolutely love that.
Star Wars Episode 8, fuck your fan theories.
Dude,
I'm so glad.
it's so irreverent that I cannot. I was losing my mind. I loved it. There is a dark horse. You guys should definitely watch Personal Shopper. That's with Kristen Stewart.
I hear that.
It's a really cool movie. She really, really performs the fuck out of that movie. She's really good in it. Bottom threes is not necessarily that I didn't like them. I think that the error with those 3 movies, it was overhype. So Thor 3, it's not that I didn't like it, it's just that it was way too much overhyped, and I watched the trailers, so I already knew the cool parts on it. So that was my bad. Wonder Woman, it was way overhyped for me, and I went to see it, and I'm like, this is just whatever. It's okay, it's cool, but it's forgettable for me. And my first one was Alien Covenant. I absolutely love Ridley Scott, and I love the alien world, and it's just not working out. It really isn't. It's so forgettable. It's not giving us anything new. I just don't. I didn't like it.
So
Yeah.
too many dumb things happen in that movie.
Yeah, and it's not, and not liking it is not the right word. It's just that it just didn't feel the expectation that I wanted to.
Guillermo, I really agree with you on the Wonder Woman aspect. I like Wonder Woman a lot. And I think I mentioned this during the actual recording we did, but Wonder Woman is a very okay superhero origin movie, but it's the Citizen Kane of the DCEU.
Yes.
And that's where the problem is. I think that the hype was worth it if you compare it to everything that came before it. But overall, it was just like a really good standard superhero.
It was okay.
Story.
It was definitely good. It was a step in the right direction for them, and I can sort of see it try to fight it out in Justice League, which is like okay too. But it was too overhyped.
Yeah. I'll always champion Alien Covenant just because it is definitely a step above Prometheus, and
it is. It definitely is.
I can't get enough of just Michael Fassbender monologues of he just reads like the spoke Zathura or the poem of Ozymandias. That stuff just...
That movie was only worth it to see Michael Fassbender make out with himself. That was it. That was the
Choice Award Best Kiss 2017.
That was the...
It's got my vote. I don't know.
Technically he's got double the amount of entries in that scene, so I think that wins by default.
So let's do a bit of a roundtable. Let's talk about the biggest miss of what's one of the biggest movies that you really wanted to go see but you never had a chance to go see in 2017. Start with Blewitt.
Yeah. So my biggest one was Lady Bird. I heard so many cool things about this movie, and I still have yet to see it, and I have no idea when I'm going to make time to do it. But I feel like I should go. Biggest miss.
Definitely hop on it, especially still in theaters right now. So it's probably not going to be in theaters for too long because it's arguably an indie movie. So definitely check it out. Mocha?
As far as the film that I am most disappointed I missed this year, it's going to be Guillermo del Toro's Shape of Water. I'm particularly disappointed because I actually was the one who pushed for that movie to be reviewed by us in the first place, and then I just wasn't able to make it to the theater in time because your boy's broke. But I need to find a way to see that movie before it leaves theaters. If not, I'll be glad to watch it at home. But the last time I was really excited about a Del Toro movie and missed seeing it in theaters was Pan's Labyrinth, and that's what possibly my favorite movie of all time.
So good.
So I've seen it so many times since it was released on DVD. So I need to see this movie in theaters, if anything, to make up for that.
Of course, no spoilers here, but Shape of Water and Last Jedi round out my top 5. That's how much I enjoyed that movie, and I know me and Abbott talked about it a good amount, and I'm really excited to revisit that movie just because of the things that he put in that I didn't necessarily notice. And the soundtrack of that movie is by Alexandre Desplat, which is phenomenal. So literally, when that movie begins, you're in that world. So I'm really excited for you to check that movie out because it's really good.
So I definitely want to see it first week of 2018, maybe even second week. I do need to give a special shout out though for a missed opportunity film as well. And this shout out goes to the film Wolf Warrior 2.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anybody here is familiar with it, but Wolf Warrior 2 was the number 5 highest worldwide grossing film of 2017. It was the only top 10 worldwide grossing film of the year that was not American made. It's Chinese made. And yeah, it seems pretty interesting. It did gangbusters in terms of its results in the theaters. It's the second in a franchise. I'm not too familiar with the franchise, but knowing that it was such a massive hit worldwide, 870 million worldwide box office is impressive, and it had to happen for a reason. But ultimately, it's about some Chinese soldier or ex-soldier who does either special missions or mercenary work on the side now. But anyway, this time he's in Africa fighting people that are trying to kill aid workers, and I want to see it.
Nice. I think Abbott talked about that with you, or maybe kind of mentioned that. I think he probably was hyped about checking out that movie too, knowing him. Brilund, biggest miss of 2017?
So my biggest miss, and it's only because of how award season works. They only have to get their movies into New York and Los Angeles to be nominated, and everybody else has to wait until mid-January to get their movies. And that's Paul Thomas Anderson's The Phantom Thread. Supposedly this is Daniel Day-Lewis's final movie. And the last time Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis made a movie, it was called There Will Be Blood, and it was an amazing film. And so I was I'm super excited to see this movie. I'll definitely go out of my way to catch it and watch it and probably enjoy it too.
Nice. I actually haven't seen that movie because it's not out. So there you go.
Are you a big fan of Paul Thomas Anderson, Brilund?
Yes, absolutely.
I've a buddy of mine who tends to introduce me to directors that I normally wouldn't watch, you all know as Ian Scott Howland, has been trying to get me to watch some Paul Thomas Anderson films, and I keep falling asleep during Inherent Vice. I like it. I don't dislike it, but I just keep
Inherent Vice is so much fun.
I know, which is why I keep giving it some extra tries, and I need to be sober during it. Maybe that'll help. But yeah.
Start with Boogie Nights and then travel into his later works, I would say.
Ah, interesting. Start at the very beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
Start.
Because I think he's definitely one of those directors, while you watch his works, he definitely grows. So, do Boogie Nights, do Magnolia, and then you can veer off to Inherent Vice, or There Will Be Blood, or The Master, which is amazing as well. So,
Master and Commander, Far End of the World?
No, but that is an amazing movie, too.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that. Oh, no, you're talking about The Master with the guy who passed away.
No.
David
Carradine. Yeah. I was like, Joaquin Phoenix isn't dead. But you're thinking of Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Thank you. Yes. I saw the other movie. The other movie was Russell Crowe, isn't it? So I've seen that too.
Master and Commander, Far End of the World, yeah.
And Paul Bettany.
I mean, he's great because he plays Vision, so that's good.
Yeah.
Guillermo, biggest miss that you really wanted to see?
I really want to go to see It. I didn't get a chance to see it. Obviously, Get Out. And I've been reading a lot about Lady Bird, and I want to see that one too.
So all of our best movies that you did.
Pretty much, yes. Pretty much. Hence, that's why I don't come to the podcast anymore.
That's fair. That's okay. We miss you every day. I think one of the biggest ones that I wanted to see is because it's the director, Martin McDonagh. It's called 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. And this is the same guy who did 7 Psychopaths, and he also did In Bruges. And he actually started as a playwright from the Lieutenant of Inishmore. And he always has the most gruesome, bloody, like crazy films that has to do with something that's very, very small and trivial. And it's a comedic, but it's very dark. It's very good. I'm bummed I missed that. I think we just kind of ran out of time. There's kind of too many things happening. So, but yeah, so things with that. And so we're going to reflect a little bit about us. And I know that we talked about a lot of movies that we liked, didn't like, and something we missed. But favorite podcast episode that you've experienced in 2017? What do you got? I'm tossing it over to Guillermo.
I don't listen to you guys.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
The Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be Spider-Man for you by default, because that was the only one you were on this year.
Yeah. I have the ability to talk to you guys directly, so I just call you guys.
Well, I do appreciate your dollar bin reviews, so that was awesome. That's another new thing that came out this year.
Dude,
awesome.
And I had technically like 7 movies that I've written a review for. I just need to sit down and just do it.
Do it.
Just be Nike about it. What about Brilund? Toss it over to you.
Yeah, and I think Blewitt can kind of add to this. My favorite podcast was our Matt Gray interview. I kind of had structured, one thing I thought was cool is just getting Matt Gray on and having him share his story of how he works in the industry. But also, I had 10 questions ready to go. You know what? The interview, once you get Matt Gray rolling, just let him roll. And he has some amazing stories to share. And it's really cool to see his perspective on the filmmaking industry as well.
And he has something very interesting whenever I sit down to talk to him, is that he doesn't, he can adjust the way that he talks to somebody like me that doesn't know a lot about it. And we can have a cool conversation without him being too highbrow for me, which I really appreciate, because he's a fan of films and actors and directors and all that. So it's really cool to see him sit down with you guys, because he's phenomenal. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he really gets.
Favorite ones.
Yeah, he really gets the love behind why people love movies, but he also understands why people are so obsessed with working in it, and how how it can be a very serious and stressful thing for people to get a role right at times as well.
I sat in a cafe for about 8 hours in Virginia, a super, super small cafe, and had a chance to kind of listen to a bunch of podcasts. And that was like the perfect podcast to listen to while just hanging out, drinking your black tea, and just hearing somebody kind of talks about their lives. And it was very, very impactful. I had a lot of fun. I couldn't be a part of it, but I wanted to, and that was awesome just to listen to that. Blewitt, anything else?
Yeah, it was the same thing. Honestly, not for nothing, but it was probably the most memorable to me because it was different. You know, we do week after week, we do a movie review, we talk about our wins, losses, and our final grades or final thoughts. This was completely freeform, and it was, I think that when you think back, whatever is different by default stands out, and I think that for me, that is the defining podcast of this year. I think we had great thoughts on a lot of other movies, but that's the one that really is like, well, that was cool. We did something very different and very unique. You know, we've been running this thing we celebrated 2 years over the summer, right? And so, in 2.5 years is the only really different one, unless you count like Abbott's Fear Boners episodes.
Boners.
Yeah, but like it's one of the, it's one of those things that like it stood out on its own as a truly unique experience for our podcast, and we're working on getting more people to do it, going forward. But that is a little harder to do because none of us live in Los Angeles, Warren.
Yet.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun,
Just
dun,
Warren
dun.
Jackson's moving to Los Angeles. Volka?
Let's see. My favorite episode of the year. This one changed. I think when it came time for our second anniversary podcast, I still refer to Logan as my favorite one because that was the first podcast I was on. But it is now officially the Jigsaw episode, aka the Fear Boners Halloween Spectacular. For those of you who didn't get a chance to listen to it, we linked up with Rob Cho of the Not Another Gaming podcast, and brought him on as a guest during that episode since he's a big-time fan of horror movies. And it was just really fun getting to know him, during the whole process of like coordinating the event, as well as just having a guest speaker on to just talk shit for an hour and a half about a really bad movie. It was super fun and one of the wackier episodes, I feel like. And it was just like a unique experience, so that's definitely my favorite for the year.
I had so much fun doing that, dressing up and just having Rob and Abbott just going at it was amazing. That was a lot of fun. I will say my favorite one was when we had our first ever podcasters. I think we had 3 at the same time with Dylan, Megan, Arnold way out in LA. Dylan was in Colorado, and we had Caroline that was in person for the Beauty and the Beast. And I think that was a hilarious episode. Took a turn, but it was still a lot of fun. Especially when that was the first time that somebody, I think one of the people in person, like we had a lot of disagreements. But, in the end, I know I'm always right, so that was always fun. Yeah, but you told me I'm always right yesterday, so there you go.
Yeah.
As we're getting ready to finish up 2017, we have, just a few more days left. There's stuff to be excited about for the future. There's stuff to be excited about for our podcast, for our team to be growing and everything. But what's one movie, I'm going to start with you, Brilund. What's one movie for 2018 that you're super jazzed about?
There's a lot of cool things on the plate for 2018, but I'm going to say the one that I'm most jazzed about is Han Solo. I want to see Han, I want to see Lando kicking it in the galaxy, having fun, playing some sabacc, Chewie hanging out with them. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Just like The Last Jedi, watching that again, just reminds me of the magic of Star Wars. And when you have a Star Wars movie, there's something special about it. So I cannot wait to see that.
Nice. I have no idea what that movie's about, and I'm not going to watch any of the trailers, as always. So thank you.
Yeah.
Mocha?
My most anticipated film of 2018, and this was hard because there's a whole lot of good Marvel movies coming out that I'm super, super stoked for. But putting aside my fanboyism, I think that my most anticipated film of 2018 is actually Incredibles 2. Incredibles is one of the best, like funniest Pixar movies ever. I loved Incredibles. It was so much fun, and it was such a huge success. And one thing Pixar does really well is if they do make a sequel, they wait and they take their time and they make something really special. They did that with Finding Dory. I can't say the same for the Cars franchise because that's sort of its own weird thing now. But I really think that Incredibles 2 is going to be something special as well, and I can't wait to see what comes of it.
Yeah, I think one of the only, like, Cars 2 may be the worst, but it's actually not very many, like maybe one or two Pixar films that's like, probably shouldn't have made that. They tried to come back with Cars 3 and it was much better than 2, but still, that franchise should have probably stopped after 1. So, there you go. I'm going to toss it over to Michael Blewitt.
Yeah, so the obvious choice on everyone's mind, I feel like, and I think we should get this out of the way because I'm going to dance around it. Avengers Infinity War. Right? Like, that is the culmination. That's the culmination of 10 years, and the trailer alone had so much hype going into it. And then we saw the trailer, and I'd like to brag for a second. I logged on to YouTube. In the first, 4 seconds it was up, I got viewer number 56 on that trailer.
Whew.
It was crazy. I know. Ladies, don't throw yourself at me. 56 viewer. It's not like I was 34. But I digress. To me, the movie that I'm looking forward to besides that one the most is Super Troopers. Super Troopers 2. What a stupid, stupid comedy that they made in 2003. And I just can't wait to see them develop that again. That looks freaking sweet.
Has there been a trailer yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a teaser,
Pretty
though.
humorous.
Yeah. They basically just make fun of the jokes they make in the first one. It's all you want to see out of a trailer out of it.
Guillermo?
I'm looking forward to going Unsullied. I don't want to watch any trailers.
Yes.
But because here's the thing. Like, for example,
Warren.
Well, because the thing is, you get overhyped, and then you overthink the movie, and then you it's too much, and then you don't really like it. Like, for example, one of my favorite movies of all time is Halloween, and this next year they got John Carpenter and basically just out of retirement, just go, let's make this movie. And Jamie Lee Curtis is gonna be back, and they actually signed in Nick Castle, which is the original Shape, like the original Michael Myers, to come in and do
the original Shape.
Well, I mean, it's called The Shape.
No, you're right.
I guess.
So and they're essentially scraping all the sequels, and they're just going back to this movie is gonna be a continuation of the original movie. So it has the potential to be really, really cool, back to form for all these characters. And it could blow up because it's overhyped and it's overthought and it's over exposed and all these things, and then you come in thinking that it's going to be something, and then it's not going to be that, and then you're going to hate it, and then you hate John Carpenter and you hate Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's just I just don't want to watch anything, because it's, I already saw the trailer for Black Panther, and I'm like, I can't wait to see that movie. And then what if I don't like it? It's just it's unfair for the movie that it's so overly hyped, and it's unfair for me because then I think I'm gonna go see something and then I don't like it, and it's I overthink the movie, and it's too much.
I mean, we talk about this a lot though, because I think the reason why I choose not to to go Unsullied, right? I don't watch any of the stuff. I don't watch the posters. It's not because I'm not excited about it. It's not because I'm not going to go see that movie. I mean, there's a lot of other venues and channels for me to watch this stuff. It's the exact opposite. I'm trying to preserve that magic. I don't want to know who the actors are on a on stage before walking out and then sitting down, because it's going to break my actual sort of just all about the belief and everything about it. I'm trying to preserve as much as possible, so when I sit down, I have a complete unbiased approach to watching that movie. And I mean, that's why I do it. And now, thank you, Derek. You showing me these things on Twitter, because I have so many muted words. You have no idea. So I don't see any of these tweets. It's like, it's not because it's now to the point where I just don't trust people. Like, there's other stuff that we can necessarily talk about instead of talking about a trailer.
Dude, I literally had to stop using the internet for a week so I wouldn't be spoiled by Star Wars or anything like that. It sucks. And to me, the problem is that you overthink it, and then you get overly hyped, and then you build up the movie in your head to a point where it's not humanly possible for a director to make a movie for you. It's a movie for everybody, and it's hard, and it's not fair, you know. And it's what I said. Look what happened to Thor. Like, if I didn't know that Hulk was gonna be on Thor 3, I would have lost my mind in the theater. But I already knew that was there, you know. So it was like I was making up this story in my mind, like, where is that movie going to go, and then it didn't.
Yeah, I feel like everybody can agree. Anyone who enjoyed the Thor movie can agree that spoiling Hulk's presence in the trailers was maybe necessary, but also extremely ill-advised. Because that would have been one of the most amazing reveals in any
Absolutely.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I was so amped about that.
It was like, that's awesome, and then I saw in the movie, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not anti it per se, but I do think it would have been more awesome were it a complete surprise.
So, I'll give you this. Since Ant-Man, they ruined the Falcon's appearance in Ant-Man in, like, one of the TV spots that, ironically, I saw during, like, the NBA Finals. And so it was one of those things I was just watching with my friends, so there's no avoiding, like, on a huge TV at some bar, not seeing that. And that kind of ruined that appearance for me. But it was only a 5-minute scene. Since that movie, I've stopped watching TV spots. I'll give Warren this. Like, the oversaturation of last-minute get butts in seat marketing is definitely been a better approach to movies. But also, like, the films that have been following the production for, like, months on, I'm fine with seeing the trailer. If I'm seeing, like, set pictures and, like, set rumors and casting rumors and all this stuff, seeing, like, a fully fledged, like, actually CGI'd trailer is kind of payoff for that.
Dude, how many times have we seen the Black Panther trailer? We've seen it like 100 times at work.
5,007.
Oh,
but then it's like
the Avengers.
Like, you're so overhyped by it, you know.
Because like for Marvel movies specifically, like currently, if you're a fan of Marvel movies, then you exist in a perpetual state of hype. They plan these films; they have 3 a year, and they plan them out years in advance. And there's never nothing for you to be hyped about. So at the very least, for Marvel, it's just like hype is what it is at this point.
Yeah, and Black Panther is probably like right up there with Han Solo for me for movie I really want to see next year, just because that movie's gonna mean so much to so many people.
Yep,
it'll be amazing to see that energy.
Yeah,
if it's played off well, it's gonna be phenomenal.
I completely agree with that sentiment, and the same thing. Like there was a payoff for me for watching the Black Panther trailer. Waking up at whenever, and then looking on my phone and seeing like Black Panther trailer drops, and then clicking on the YouTube link, and then just watching that was just like, and the Run the Jewels soundtrack, and then I forget who does Revolution Will Be Televised, but that's the song in the second trailer, and just like watching that and hearing that like distinctive, like
Travis Scott.
No, it's what? It's way earlier than that.
Oh yeah, I mean that whole phrase is. I mean, some from the 70s or
right.
60s.
It's some 70s artist, but I can't remember who it is right now. But like waking up and watching that, when because that's the thing. Like with the trailers, I know that they're edited in a way to be misleading and to just show like little bits and pieces. Where to me, that's where I finally broke it on the TV spots, where I'm saying like TV spots give up too much stuff, and I don't want to see it anymore. Whereas the trailers are their own like little mini movie in themselves, full of hype, and especially, I mean, Mocha's right. I guess the bigger the movie is, the more acceptable it is to see the trailer. Like the first trailer for The Last Jedi was perfect. That trailer gave literally nothing away on the movie, and it was this self-contained little narrative that like showed these really incredible shots. And I'm actually just remembering this now. That trailer literally was nothing to do with the movie except for the visual material that it showed, and it was completely worth it. Same thing, I'm sure, with the Infinity War trailer. That first trailer will have nothing to do with the movie except for visually who is in the movie, and that's it. To me, the TV spots ruin it.
Well, I would say the biggest movie, besides Marvel stuff, because I've talked about that a good amount, is the Fantastic Beasts sequel. Sadly, because of Twitter, I didn't know how to use it as much. I was spoiled to know who played as Dumbledore, but it's going to be nice to see expanding off of this newish, well, it's not newish, it's a new storyline. As much as I love Fantastic Beasts, it really had a lot of issues, so it'll be really nice to see if she kind of builds on this from this kind of original works again from J.K. Rowling. So, and I think she actually asked somebody to help her out with some of this stuff too. So that should be I'm excited about that for 2018. Any lasting thoughts, guys, before we sign off?
Tomb Raider with Alicia Vikander.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Spoilers, bro.
That's okay. She's my wife, so that's gonna be good.
Oh, I thought she was my wife. Difficult situation.
And with that, we are the Down in Front podcast, the official podcast of downinfront.com. I want to say thank you so much for hanging out with us as much as possible. I'll do a bit of a round table. We do want to also kind of give a shout out for the passing. I think this was the year since Carrie Fisher actually passed away, which is very sad. And it's a very touching moment, especially because there's a bit of original music in her send-off in the actual kind of movie itself and near the end, near the credits. So that was pretty awesome just to kind of see that. And it's really tough because she was like an icon. She was a beacon, one of our best friends, and you saw Dylan on the you'll hear Dylan's voice soon. He actually has her tattoo, so that was like kind of pretty awesome for that. And I know that her passing really kind of moved a lot of people. So
she was the first person that I had a crush on when I was like 6, and I saw Princess Leia for the first time. I was like, I'm into that. I didn't know what that was, but I knew that I was into that.
And I think she definitely was there to shepherd a lot of us into adulthood.
But I mean
aside from that, she was also a feminist icon.
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think
that's a cool thing, giving a whole bunch of women out there a model, just a badass chick to.
Dude, and she was a great writer too, which is phenomenal.
Yeah,
like it's just coming out.
It's
coming out that she helped rewrite some things on Last Jedi on the actual set. They're we should probably do this way.
She had
a lot of the funny lines in The Last Jedi were actually pitched by her, according
It's crazy, man. She was so good.
She was a good comedy writer.
The original Star Wars scripts were filled with you can find some old pictures online. Were filled with red marks from her edits that she would do. And she really had a big hand in giving Princess Leia's dialogue the characteristics that we identify so thoroughly with the character. She was a powerhouse.
She was definitely awesome.
So rest in peace, Princess Leia. Carrie Fisher, you will be missed. Thank you. Brilund, where can you find more of your work?
You can find me waiting with unbridled anticipation on Twitter for Club Dread 2. At Brilund, Brilund. I think Mike Blewitt's the only person here that's seen Club Dread.
I've seen it.
Okay, awesome. And you can also find my many movie reviews on Instagram at I am Brilund. I put one up recently for Bright, and I just saw Molly's game recently, so look for one on that too. And I also host the Gamescast, twitch.tv/Down in Front Podcast. We are getting through Doom. We're going to come back with a newish format where play for a little less time, but 4 times per week. So a little bit more consistency, which would be fun. And we got some cool games lined up.
Nice. It's always
We should play
exciting.
FIFA.
No.
Well, Guillermo, you're not very good at FIFA. Hey, Mocha, where can we find more of your work?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, shedding my holiday cheer and donning a coat of 2018 existential grief. You can find me there at Mocha Mike, L-I, as the Lord intended. Unfortunately, you cannot find me at Mocha Mike. The man who holds that name is sort of like my Ghost of Christmas Past, in that he haunts me, except there's no purpose, and it's just going to be this way forever. So until then, twitter.com/MochaMikeLI. You can also see some of my photography work on Instagram, Instagram.com/MochaMike. And finally, you can see some of my long-form reviews, as well as some other topics of interest that I write about on my Medium, medium.com/@MochaMike.
Always great to have you on. Blewitt, where can you find more of your work?
So you can find me at most major social media platforms at MyNewsMusic or MyNewsBand to see some mediocre punk rock, the highest form of art. We should have an album out sometime right in the first week of the new year. New year, new band. In fact, well, it's same band, but just new music. So look for that. Also, if you want to reach out to me personally, you can find me at Jesse Rand Dwells on the Past at ymail.com. Or alternatively, Jesse Rand, I might be depressed at gmail.com. Just closing the loop there. So that's how that goes. Also, truthfully, this is one thing that I'm gonna toot my own butt right now. So the thing is that not only do I edit all the music, but I also write all the music, which I don't think has ever been said. That theme song you hear, Love It or Hate It, is not stock music. I wrote that in about an hour after Warren sent me a template of like surf rock songs. And so I've done everything since. My current favorite is one of them. But I'd love to hear the other people and the people that listen to us what their favorite version is. And by the time we release this, there should be one more up there with Star Wars. So nice. I love feedback on the music because, again, we're not pulling it from a website. If it sucks, it sucks. If it's not, I'd love to hear either way.
Yeah, huge shout out to you, Blewitt, for the work you do there.
Also,
Stranger Things one is my ringtone. I told you this, that I was setting it as my ringtone, and when I played it, the first time I played it for my mom, she says, I don't know what this is, but I really like it, so there you go.
I would say this, also, if Mocha, if you could make social media happen, this is how my anti-spoiler is. I just don't have social media or do the internet. Because I'm 97 years old, like the person that stole Mocha's screen name. And so...
we may have found
it's just me. And so, if you want to hear new styles, like for some of them, like Coco and Stranger Things, they're associated with like these very prominent forms of music. That it made it easy to write for, but like other ones are very like, oh, this is just a movie, let's just throw in the stock one. But if there's any movie that's coming up that has such a genre specific one, reach out. Like I'd love to hear recommendations for like do this genre of music with the same material, and I'd love to do it as for a fan recommendation. That'd be really cool to reach out and do like an individualized version of it. Just not a cappella, because I
want an a cappella version where we all sing different parts of the song together.
Alright, so we're doing it for Pitch Perfect. We'll do an a cappella. Pitch Perfect 3 is coming out this year. We'll just do an a cappella version of it. Yeah, oh shit, it really is coming out this year. I'm going to actually have to do that. Oh, you guys...
Rehearsal start tonight, guys.
Yeah,
it's out right now, by the way. So Pitch Perfect 3 is out in theaters.
Oh, really? I thought that was next year. Whatever.
Nope, it's out. I didn't like 1 or 2. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like 3. That's just me.
I've never seen a Pitch Perfect. But
it's
definitely...
mediocre at best. Guillermo, senor, the beautiful face that we haven't seen in a while. Where can we find more of your work? Or what are you going to be doing?
Nothing. So I don't do Twitter or Facebook, so you can at AXTIONJ on Twitter. Just tweet me over there, and
Send them your nudes.
send me all the dick pics and nudes. No, I'm boring. I'm like Mike. I'm like 100 years old. But I talk to any of the other guys every single day, so you can, text Warren or whatever, and like Brilund, and let him know. He'll tell me.
Thank you for that. That's a weird, that sounds like Action J. You don't have any of those letters in your name. That's very strange.
No, not at all. It's I don't know.
It's a dummy account.
So I appreciate you. I appreciate you not actually giving out my phone number. So there you go. And with that, we are the Down in Front podcast, the official podcast. We want to say thank you so much. We have tons of stuff for you to kind of find out more of our content. I want to say as the last thing, announcements, happy belated birthday to literally everybody I think of this podcast just about, of Mike Blewitt, of Guillermo, of Josh, I think everybody, that was all. Happy belated to me. We all had December birthdays, and that was awesome.
Happy belated to little baby Jesus. That was 8 years ago.
Of course, just
Big ups.
Dave Groves, happy belated birthday to you. That
is little baby Jesus.
To
Ryan Dowd was December 4th.
Yeah, Ryan Dowd, Ellie. Oh man, so many people. Find more of our work. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on live reactions. We're literally everywhere. You can find all our work at our website, downinfrontpodcast.com. Check us out. We actually go on Spotify. Makes it a little bit easier to actually look and kind of find our material there. And we want to say thanks so much for hanging out with us. And if we don't see you soon, we'll see you next year.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.